talk about supervising off-site employees, managing employees from a distance, there has to become a fundamental change in how we view management. We have to make the transition from off-site, hands-on management to becoming a leader. And one of the things that a leader does is a leader creates environment. Whether he or she is aware of it or not, a leader creates environment. And the employees will work up or down to the environment that the leader creates. Now, one of the questions that I am most often asked is what motivates employees and how can I motivate those employees who I don't see? Well, the reality is that employees are already motivated. I'll tell you how I know. If I had a hidden camera and I could watch your most unmotivated looking employee at quitting time, oh, out the door they run. There's a spring in their step. They make decisions, they solve problems, they do all kinds of things. They come back to work the next day, and I think, I've got an unmotivated employee. What I've got are obstacles to that employee's motivation. And so what I have to do as an off-site leader is to create an off-site environment free of the obstacles to motivation. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's quickly overview those three main obstacles. Number one, creating clearly defined objective performance expectations. You know, this may sound strange, but most employees want to do a good job. They really do. They just don't know exactly what is expected of them, and you're not there to tell them. So what we have to do is come up with clearly defined objectives. We're going to do an exercise on that a little later today to discover how to do that. The most important management fundamental that I believe you can take into this century is very simple and yet profound, and that is that you will get the behavior you reward. In other words, employees out there, when you're not there, they will do the things that they believe and they perceive are being rewarded. And by rewarded, we're not talking about money necessarily. We are talking about that which is valued, that which is appreciated, that which is recognized. We're talking about that which they get feedback on. What do they believe is being celebrated? And the problem in America is that we are often rewarding the wrong behavior. For example, let's say that you've got 5 technicians or 5 salespeople or 5 nurses out at location 3. It doesn't matter. Let's say you've got 5 nurses, and one of those nurses knows every policy and procedure ever made. Oh, when it comes to the rules, they know the book. However, when it comes to customers, patients, they don't like patients. In fact, you can hear them in the back break room. I don't like patients. The home office comes up with an announcement, and the announcement is, we've got to be customer focused. We must be customer centered. If we're not customer driven, we will not survive and thrive. Wonderful message, but the nursing team doesn't listen to the message. They look at the environment in which they work, and they ask themselves, in the deepest part of the mind where motivation comes from, they ask themselves, if I do these behaviors that are customer oriented, is that what's going to be rewarded, recognized, valued, appreciated? And an opportunity comes up for a choice work assignment. And the nurse who knows all the rules and regulations and procedures but hates patients is given the choice work assignment. The rest of the nursing team looks at that action and they say to themselves, you know what? They can talk about customer service until the cows come home, because it really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters around here is that we follow the rules. We are rewarding the wrong behavior because that's the behavior that you will get. So we're going to examine that and how you can come up with clearly defined objective performance expectations that will reward and value and appreciate and give feedback on the behavior that you want happening out there when you're not there. The second obstacle deals with communication. Do you know what your number one complaint is of your off-site employee? Here's what it is. They don't feel like they're in the loop. You've heard them say it. I don't feel like I'm part of the home office team. I don't feel like I'm a part of what this is going on. You sit there in your ivory tower and you come up with all your rules and regulations. You want to get out here in the real world and do the work like we are. We're the ones that know what's going on. So how do you deal with that? We're going to talk about moments of truth, points of communication, How do you do your teleconferencing, your video conferencing, your email? How do you do your site visits? How often should you visit? When you go out on a site visit, what should you do? How do they perceive those moments of truth? Did you know that the Hudson Institute says that if you have one positive and one negative moment of truth, you know how your employee perceives you? That's right, highly negative towards them. Now, if you believe in your heart of hearts that your immediate supervisor is highly negative towards you, is that going to impact your performance? Sure, it has to. Now, if there are two positives and one negative, they view you as neutral towards them. It takes a 3-to-1 ratio before they will believe that you are positively reinforcing what it is you want happening out there. Before they will believe that you are supporting them. And I'll tell you straight up, it's never going to happen with off-site management unless you purposefully plan your communication points. We're going to talk about that. The third obstacle that usually comes up is trust. And really it all begins and ends with trust. It's what's called the Pygmalion effect. And that is basically that you will get what you expect. And the translation with off-site management is this: trust will get you trust. And distrust will get you distrust. We're going to talk today about how to develop a home office perception that they believe that you trust them. And so much of this has to do with that magic buzzword, empowerment. And we'll talk about the ways of empowering people.